live on our various affiliates across the country. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, also live on 3news.com and 3FM 927 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with us live on there in the next 60 minutes. We have the latest in the issues happening across the country with business, sports, and entertainment coming up this evening. The battle that is begging for a ceasefire between the new Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress.
Where were the Peace Council when the former president made such a reckless statement? Where were the Peace Council?
The Peace Council should stop behaving this way. They should simply call out the NPP and condemn them. That is all that they need to do. We in the NDC have said nothing.
The NPP and the NDC go neck to neck over comments made by their members and leadership. Various occasions described as treasonable. Both parties have now petitioned the Ghana Police Service CID, but it is the call by the Peace Council for cool heads to prevail that's not gone down well with some members of the NPP and indeed the NDC as well, asking the Peace Council to be specific on their criticisms.
Oh, it's a big joke, a complete waste of everybody's time. What exactly is it that they are petitioning against? Everybody knows that this is nothing more than an attempt to deflect the public criticism that has been heaped on Ghana Chamber.
The National Peace Council backs calls for a constitutional review of appointing powers the president has. We'll get into details of these and more. The United Kingdom's red listing of 54 countries, including Ghana, against active recruitment of healthcare professionals would not stop nurses and midwives from leaving the country. That's according to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Tonight, we would be engaging some of the healthcare professionals, plus hear from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, which says the alert by the UK is much ado about nothing. Tell us more about that. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also get responses from the Ministry of Health on the yawning nurse-to-patient ratio amidst concerns about the deficit, the increasing deficit of the nurse-to-patient ratio in this country. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're expecting a statement from the Ministry of Health of the Republic of Ghana shortly about this particular development. But Teachers and Education Workers Union, TEU, has served notice to begin the strike on April 15 over unpaid professional and skills development allowance owed its members over the last 15 months. I'll tell you why they intend to go on this path because of the non-engagement on the part of government. But the National Labour Commission says the notice is too short. We'll give you details of these and more with the latest in business, sports, and entertainment coming up here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's get into the details now. I am Alfred Ocansey. The 2024 elections may be more than a year away, but the two leading parties, the NPP and the NDC, are going hard at each other. In the last few hours, the new Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have counter-petitioned the police CID, demanding the arrest and prosecution of their Greek Minister Brian Echampo and former President John Dramani Mahama. It's already looking like a fiery battle requiring the intervention of an entity to calm the tensions. Kamala Andom, my colleague, has been looking through the lenses of how things are playing out and come through this report.
Where were the Peace Council when the former president made such a reckless statement? Where were the Peace Council?
The Peace Council should stop behaving this way. They should simply call out the NPP and condemn them. That is all that they need to do. We in the NDC have said nothing.
About 2024, about to yen niagro. Anything I'm say, do or die. Anything I'm say, do or die. Now we can't do or die. It be no at Western. I say, yeah, the engine and second echo to journey pania the other day. And yet do or die, no. I say, a baby here, see a deal kunimum, and the offend diablo. Sana do or die. I just said, then second in Contiba for a brobron crofo. And so, me, what did he say? Yena And to make us every brain.
Oh, that's John Mahama there. And earlier, you also heard the NPP also putting out their case. But the National Peace Council is actually backing calls for a constitutional review of the appointing powers of the president. And the call comes on the back of the controversy surrounding the appointment of Dr. Pia Hene onto the board of the Electoral Commission. This is an issue that we're seeing playing out in very interesting ways, but that also impacts on the current issues relating to the new patriotic party. We understand that has also petitioned the Criminal Investigations Department of Ghana Police Service over comments made by John Mahama in the run-up to the 2020 general elections. This was specifically made in Adaklo, as in the Volta region, during a campaign tour. And they made reference to a statement that the former president made relating to the fact that the NDC is a party born out of a revolution, and if they want to be violent, they understand violence. That's what is quoted in the petition that the NPP has, as we speak, submitted to the Ghana Police Service Criminal Investigations Department. Now, Felix Kwatiofosu speaks for the former president. He says that the party would do everything possible to protect the NDC and the former president going into the 2024 elections.
Oh, it's a big joke, a complete waste of everybody's time. What exactly is it that they are petitioning against? Everybody knows that there is nothing more than an attempt to deflect the public criticism that has been heaped on Ghana Champion after his reckless comments over the Easter holidays.
Where were the Peace Council when the former president made such a reckless statement? Where were the Peace Council?
The Peace Council should stop behaving this way. They should simply call out the MPP and condemn them. That is all that they need to do. We in the NDC have said nothing.
So those were the back and forth, and now this is how things have been playing out over the last 48 hours, and the response that the Ghana Police Service itself has also given to the development so far.
It is a clear case of the political ping pong already in motion. The two leading parties are at each other's throats over who probably makes the most intemperate comments building up to election 2024. The latest back and forth all began when a Greek minister, Brian Champon, mounted an MPP campaign platform in Kwame Praeso and said this. The opposition NDC would not take this lightly.
If it's about using force, intimidation, you don't have what it is. You can have the national security at your disposal. But hey, my friend, how many are they? The masses are stronger than the military.
While the NPP foot soldiers and appointees have jumped to the defense of the Greek minister, civil society organizations and political analysts say the comments were reckless, calling for the intervention of the police.
When you speak like this, are you inciting us to go to war? I will expect the Christian Council, all noble-minded people in this country to call into order.
But guess what? The NDC took steps to petition the police CID to probe the matter. Director of Legal Affairs, Abraham Amaliba, expects swift action.
We'll give them a certain reasonable time. Failure to act on it, we will now take the next step. And the next step, we have copied this to various institutions and very important personalities in this country. We'll take up the matter with them. We'll let everybody know in this country that the police administration is beginning to be choosy and the police administration is beginning to be biased.
Even before the dust could settle, the NPP took the fight to the doorstep of the NDC and equally petitioned the police CID to arrest former President John Mahama and the chairman of the party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia.
The former president made a categorical statement, a statement that can destroy the peaceful coexistence, destroy our democracy, and that is what we are talking about. Brian Champon's statement was in reaction to John Dramani Mahama's reckless statement, to Esiedun Ketia's reckless statement on what happened the other day, and that's what we are talking about.
Pressure is now piling on the police to take action and bring some conclusion to the matter, because both parties insist their opponents are responsible for starting the war of words.
We are making that petition upon their petitions that they have made. to say that, well, we took in what you were saying and didn't want to make a big deal out of it, only to serve you notice that stop talking violence. Then if they want to carry their conversation forward for the authorities to investigate, then we need to add the cost to it.
Oh, it's a big joke, a complete waste of everybody's time. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that you would even spend any time on such a useless petition. What exactly is it that they are petitioning against? Everybody knows that this is nothing more than an attempt to deflect the public criticism that has been heaped on Brian Champon after his reckless comments over the Easter holidays.
While that waits, the Peace Council, thought to be the independent body capable of causing a ceasefire, is having a tough time reining the parties in. Here is why the council may struggle even further to call what some say is a truce.
Political leaders will be brought back here as soon as possible to look at all the things that they are saying. And we show them, you have said this has said that has said that has said that. And it's not helping us. Sometimes some of these things come as a reaction to what some other people have said. But because it's current, you are likely to forget the others. But for the Peace Council, we are compiling all of those. If all of us have agreed on those things, we expect all players to be mindful of what we have said and abide by those things so that we don't go out making statements that inside the public.
The NDC's Felix Kwachiofosu and Deputy Communications Officer of the NPP, Owusu, Ernest Owusu Bempa, would not mince words.
Where were the Peace Council when the former president made such a reckless statement? Where were the Peace Council? Weren't they in this country when the former president was saying that NDC come from a revolutionary background? Where were the Peace Council when the Siedun Ketia said that they will fight with their blood?
The Peace Council should stop behaving this way. They should simply call out the NPP and condemn them. That is all that they need to do. We in the NDC have said nothing. We have done nothing that indicates that we are going to undermine the peace and security of this country. We are also not in government. It is the NPP that is in government that has shown signs that they are prepared to kill during the election. So if Brian Champon has made reckless comments, let the Peace Council go ahead and call him out and condemn him. If they have any advice, let them give it to him. They should not rope in the NDC and pretend that there is some exchange between the two parties. When that is not the case, we have merely brought Brian Champon's comments to the attention of the Ghana Police Service, and we expect them to act.
For now, it would appear the battle lines have just been drawn, and it is curious. There's more than 1 year to go before the 2024 polls. There is all to play for, either by fair or foul means, and somebody needs to police the campaign process before things spill out of proportion.
Indeed, that's exactly what the caution is, as Kamala Dom putting that story together and how things have played out over the last 48 hours with respect to the NDC and the NPP making accusations at each other over comments made by either the former president John Mahama or Brian Champon, which have been described and condemned in various circles as a threat to our democracy. In fact, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEC, has been talking about this, issued a statement and described Brian Champon's statement also as one that's of worry. He stated, and I quote, "I think that in the past, when people have made statements that threaten our national unity or security, the police deal with them. It happened to Kennedy Japan about the statement that Asante or Akans are being threatened. He was invited. Koko Anijiro was also invited. We also saw Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. He's in court. So can the police show a fair hand? Could they invite him?" That's Brian Champon. That's Dr. Emmanuel Akwete putting this question. Let's go on to the telephone now. Dr. Victor Doke is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He's a security analyst as well. Dr. Doke, thank you so much for your time here on Hot Edition. Great. So you've seen a number of people who are speaking to this. The latest development now is that after the NDC petitioned the CID, the NPP has also sent a petition to the CID over comments made by John Mahama in the run-up to the 2020 elections. How should the police be seen conducting itself in a situation like this?
Well, thank you very much, Alfred. It's so simple. For the police, what they should now do is have a sort of a forum for the two sides. Now, it's supposed to play the neutral party here. Now, if they cannot do it alone, they can consult other CSOs who can partner with them or liaise with them. Have a forum, invite these two gentlemen. Now, we cannot have a situation where tensions are increasing each time and each day. Now, they shouldn't forget we have issues on our hands. You know, when we come to brutality with police personnel and all that, the police have their hands full. So the IGP should earnestly and quickly resolve this issue, invite these two gentlemen or these party hierarchies, have a forum, talk to them. We cannot have this kind of situation. Politics of equalization is not helping our democracy. We cannot have the country or the atmosphere being heightened because of people's political gains. This cannot happen. Have a forum with these two parties. Now, if he has to issue some kind of directive or warning or be issued, he should do it. Now, let it be seen that he's on top of issues. Let him stamp his foot down for these parties to know that he cannot toy with the democracy of this country. And the IGP has a lot to do from now to 2024. This even offers him an opportunity to revise his notes concerning issues with policing and security when it comes to elections. It's too early for this to be happening. So I entreat him that if he could, he should just invite these two gentlemen on the forum. Now, each party has presented petitions. It's so simple. Get these parties involved. Talk to them. It's a forum. You advise them. You tell them you would not tolerate such when it comes to the security of the country, because everybody's looking up to him to play the neutral party here. It shouldn't be that because he's an appointee of a certain government, he would not be seen to do anything. That does not speak well for our democracy. Then, if nothing happens, we are given a chance for other people also to use this silence, if he shouldn't act, to also do certain things or say certain things which will not bode well for our democracy. And I also entreat the civil society organizations to be as vocal as ever. They are doing their best, but they should be vocal. Individuals who want to speak. Peace-loving people should speak against these kind of issues. And then we'll have a system going.
You talk about the IGP, as it were, issuing a statement to make things clear to them. These two political parties are entrenched in their position on this. Should the IGP, beyond the statement, be seen, as it were, in inviting these two persons? That's what the likes of Dr. Emmanuel Okwete have asked the IGP to do, because of previous instances where other persons who made similar comments were invited by the police. At least that invitation.
Yes, certainly so. Invite these two gentlemen, at least when you have a forum, beyond the statements that you would put out. You don't have to even put it on the air or whatever. Just invite them. Let us see, let these two parties, their supporters, who obviously would just do anything to support them, let them see that you're on top of the issue. Issue a statement, act. Anybody else who issues such threatening statements, you act per the law. It's so simple, devoid of whoever the person is. Otherwise, we'll have this happening over and over again.
What, in your view, should the police avoid to ensure that they are not misconstrued or put themselves in the realm of suspicion as to they acting in favor of one party as against the other in a crucial and sensitive situation like this?
It's very simple. Now, if they see going according to the law and these parties are not still been adhering to their call for peace, then they can invite eminent persons, they can invite CSOs together, they will get somewhere, these two parties will come together. Because I'm sure these two parties would not want to see the unfortunate happen in Ghana. So get these eminent people involved. They are high eminent people. We've done it in the past. They signed peace accords and all that. For me, in my view, it is not too early to sign a peace accord with regard to knowing how to speak, issuing press statements, and such issues or statements such as these. It's not too early. The better we start, it will be good for all of us. And this offers us the opportunity to see what is ahead. So if we do not act, if we do not put in prevention measures, then we are opening the doors of chaos when it comes to the democracy of Ghana. So the IGP, the institutions, should see what are the law says. When somebody issues statements like this, go according to the rules and regulations. Get the eminent people involved, the CSOs, collectively, bilateral consultations, and then we'll have a positive results going forward into 2024.
Now, Dr. Doke, hold on a bit for me, respectfully. I've had this conversation with Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. He makes a very interesting point about what the IGP should have done. In his view, he thinks that the IGP shouldn't, or the Ghana Police Service shouldn't have waited for a petition to come from the NDC before even acting or deciding whether or not to act on this Brian Champon statement that was made over the weekend. Take a listen to him.
The IGP should know his work. He should know exactly what institutes a criminal act and act upon that as an IGP without being forced by anybody. So I definitely don't think the NDC was right, even in getting in touch with him. Now, what I heard this evening on news was that they were unable even to meet him. And that comes to confirm exactly what I've done. You know, we've had a similar case in Kumasi where the gentleman involved is in the law courts at the moment. So if the IGP definitely has heard of what happened in Kwawu, and for more than 48 hours have been silent on that, I think he should be left alone. That's all. And that tells you the state of our security setup vis-a-vis the police itself. I don't believe that the police itself is independent. I don't believe that. So I would not definitely have gone to the police to have such a case settled. And what happened this afternoon, as we all heard on the network, is that the IGP himself evaded the NDC lawyers who came to his office to have a chat with him. I was able to see through this very early, and as such, I don't think it was even necessary to get the police involved with this. They don't have to. They don't have at all to be, you know, what do you call it, talked to by somebody, particularly the IGP, before they act. They have acted on numerous occasions when nobody has asked them to do so. So I was expecting them to act, and they didn't act. And to me, that is a big, 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 big mistake.
So that's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, a founding member of the New Patriotic Party, himself a former security person, a top military personnel for that matter. He questions the lack of action on the part of Ghana Police Service, even until now, after this petition by the NDC, especially on the Brian Champon case. Your take on his position, Dr. Doke?
Well, first of all, we know we live in a country where rule of law works. Now, the IGP, Dr. Dampare, would agree with me that when people or citizens or persons in high positions make or declare statements or stances which has a potency or the probability to cause chaos or make their followers take a certain stance towards a certain goal, then as an institution mandated by law, he has to do something. Now, I would hope that the calls from civil society, individuals, and whatnot would now propel him to move, get the issue on board, discuss. If you have to call eminent people, you do that. But to be in silence or not to even say anything does not order well for us as a citizen, as a country, and our democracy. Because as I stated earlier, this will now empower or embolden certain individuals to also make similar statements or even worse. This will not be good, and we all know the consequences of such actions if it is made and not tackled. So as a security institution, as the head of the police service, I would entreat him to get the issue handled. Otherwise, we're going to have people taking trench positions. Because then we'll refer the IGP to its inactions on this, and then also build on that to cause chaos, which we would all have or face the consequences.
Dr. I thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on this. Appreciate it as always. Dr. Victor Doke is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, a security analyst as well. Let's just stay a bit further on issues of security. What we're just learning is that the police in Sefi, Bekwai, in the Bibiani, in Anyeso, Bekwai municipality of the Western North region, are reported to have shot 2 persons and brutalized another, according to media reports that we're monitoring quite closely. The 2, a male and a female, sustained various degrees of injury and have since been hospitalized at the Green Shield Hospital at Sefi, Bekwai for treatment. The incident occurred yesterday after youth of the area besieged the Bekwai police station to demand the release of 20-year-old Kwabena Ejapong, a Pragia rider who was allegedly brutalized by the Bekwai police patrol team and later put behind bars. The reports add that the suspect, Japong, the Pragia rider, was riding towards the Sefi Surano off the Sefi Junase road when the police ordered him to stop for a search on his tricycle. However, Kwabena Japong is said to have resisted the search, which led to the exchanges between him and the police personnel. Kwabena Japong, in the heat of the disagreement, gave one of the police officers a headbutt, which triggered his immediate arrest. However, when the news of his arrest broke to the youth, especially the Pragia riders in the town, they rushed to the Bekwai police station to attack the police to get the injured victim, Kwabena Japong, released. The angry youth also is believed to have pelted stones at the police, which compelled them to fire some gunshots into the crowd. So that's what's happened there now, which we're monitoring quite closely. We'll definitely be giving you some updates as and when they come through. But let's go on to the National Peace Council now. They back calls for a constitutional review of the appointing powers of the president. The call comes on the back of a controversy surrounding the appointment of one Dr. Apiahene onto the board of the Electoral Commission. Many have criticized his affiliation with the ruling New Patriotic Party, arguing it might affect his neutrality and the credibility of the Electoral Commission itself. But chair of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, says the Constitution should be the starting point instead of the personal attacks.
The first question we have to ask ourselves, has the president got the mandate to do what he's done? If the Constitution gives him the power, he has that authority. There are critical issues we raise about our Constitution that needs amendment. And I think that we need to give attention to those things than to argue about one issue that came up here or there. What powers have we given to the president? And is he exercising the authority based on the power that we have given him? So let's relook at our own Constitution. Is it possible to look at some of these spaces, these appointments, judiciary, electoral commission, all of those things? How do we ensure that you don't give the power to one person to do those things? These are constitutional matters. If the Constitution gives the president the power to appoint and is appointed, I cannot go and fault the man. And I think that Ghanaians should be able to look at that. People have said it, that there's too much power given to the president, not this president alone. Every other president has it. Because until we amend the Constitution, this problem will be with us. Every president has the power to appoint. And once they appoint them, you can't do anything about it. So if we deal with the constitutional matter and decide, okay, for some of these appointments, this is the processes we may go through. It has to go to parliament, it has to be go through this, whatever, then we are putting something controls in there. But until we get there, this is what we have, and we have to carry the cross.
Well, so that was the chair of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, there. This afternoon, some nurses and midwives are preparing to leave the country despite the United Kingdom alert against active recruitment of staff from Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, Cameroon, and 50 other countries. This announcement was made by the UK government in its revised code of practice for international recruitment of health and social care personnel in England, which was published on the National Health Service, that's NHS Employers website, titled Code of Practice, Red and Amber List of Countries. The UK said the list is based upon the World Health Organization Workforce Support and Safeguard List 2023 and will be updated alongside progress reports on WHO Global Code implementation and reported to the World Health Organization Assembly every 3 years. Here's a report put together on the issue.
In March this year, the WHO included Ghana and 54 other countries on its health workforce support and safeguard list, stating that these countries face the most pressing health workforce challenges related to universal health coverage. Already, the Ghana Medical Association has expressed worry over the alarming level of brain drain situation in the health sector.
There are several ways in which we can help to ensure that at least these doctors stay within country. We know that a lot of people have left, a lot more people have left. We don't have the numbers, and a lot more are preparing to leave.
This red alert has thus come as an intervention to check the situation, but the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association has some reservations.
It will not stop migration. Nurses will continue to go to UK. They will continue to go to different parts of the world because UK is actively not recruiting, but individuals can still apply and be recruited into UK. The main reason why nurses and midwives are leaving the shores of Ghana is because of their conditions. So if government will heed to the plight of the union, the association, to improve on the living conditions of nurses and midwives, I think it will cut down on the migration issue.
That was a report by my colleague Sarah Apenkro. Well, some healthcare groups have shut down the UK advice, insisting they cannot stop their members from seeking better opportunities outside of the country. Indeed, that is what has been the underlying factor here with respect to the number of nurses who are living in droves. Since January, we understand about 3,000 nurses have left the shores of this country already. The Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association also been raising those concerns. Let's take a listen to them and the issues that they've been raising so far about the specific case of what the UK has decided to do.
If I am given the opportunity to work outside, I'll gladly say yes, because the system is working 24/7. When you compare their salary to Ghana, you could see there is a vast difference in the sense that Ghana, my 1 year salary is just a month's salary at UK. So imagine I'm working just an hour and I'm earning like £35 an hour. You can just imagine 12 hours per day and you are running it for 4 days. Then you go for your off, and with that off duty, you can also go for a home care and also work and maybe take £20 an hour. So you can just imagine the salary I'll receive. In less than 3 years, I think I can buy a house at Chazako, buy my luxury car, and also fund or assist my family in terms of finances. So, of course, yes, I'll definitely go.
Well, that's one of the nurses speaking to the reality of the situation, is it not? It's always been the economic argument or the fundamental consideration there. Let's go into the telephone. Isaac Ofeba is the head of public relations of the Ministry of Health of the Republic of Ghana. It's about, thank you so much for connecting with us here on Hot Edition. So you've heard one of the health workers here in this country speaking to why they will still leave this country regardless of what the UK has said that it's going to do, as in restrict recruitment of nurses and other health professionals from Ghana. So what is the health ministry's response to how things are playing out now?
Yes. Good evening to your cherished listeners. And as a ministry, we are in partnership with the Nursing and Midwifery Council, Ghana Medical and Dental Council, and all stakeholders that matters, putting up policies to see to the way forward as to how we are going to seize this illegal migration of our nurses. As a matter of fact, the Honorable Minister is not comfortable with this development at all, because he's somebody who has committed a lot of resources and work time into ensuring that we have a universal health coverage as a nation. Looking at his performance internationally and continentally, you could see that the Ministry of Health or Ghana Health Sector is far advanced globally. However, this current trend of red alert from the United Kingdom or the government of UK is something that has come as a setback. We are far, far, far beyond this level. Ghana is far, far beyond this level. You can't take the statistics of Ghana Health Service and say that you have put us on red alert.
What do you mean?
You have Ghana Health Service, which is an agency on its own. Then you have Kolebo Teaching Hospital, it's an agency on its own. No. You have Kofanoti Teaching Hospital, an agency on its own. And so, looking at the statistics that has been fed with WHO, we realize that some agencies were not part of their tallies. And so what we are doing is that we've called for them to have an overview, including all our agencies. You have the Christian health facilities, you have the teaching hospitals, who have a huge number of businesses there.
I see.
And so we challenged the report, we made it known to them, they understood the situation, and they have accepted that within 1 month, we have to go for a review. And then I can assure you within 1 month, 6 weeks, or 1 month, 2 weeks or so, Ghana will be out of that red alert.
So let me understand this. The ministry is against Ghana being put on the red alert. That's what it is.
One, it is not the situation of the ministry. It is not a situation of government.
No, so the red alert.
So the reason why we want to go off red alert is that is not our true reflection.
Okay, the underlying.
So once we are off the red alert, the issue of migration of nurses is a different issue altogether.
No, I think
you heard the nurse speaking that they may go on their own, whether UK like it or not. Yes. These are people who migrated illegally. That is, they go on their own without any prior notice. It is not like government, they go in consent with government. So what we are doing is that before you go, you need to get your clearance from the ministry. And that is why the ministry, the National Midwifery Council, are in collaboration to see to it that even before your clearance is released to you, we are sure and know that we are able to take care of ourselves.
Okay, so Mr. Ba,
we have a number of nurses, backlog nurses in the house that we are here to recruit them. We are still recruiting as I speak to you now. The portal is open for the 2019 batch. 1 month ago, we posted the ATNA 2019 batch. 2 weeks ago, medical doctors were posted. Now we are posting another crop of nurses.
Okay.
And then we are waiting for clearance again from the Ministry of Finance. How then do you say that?
So how many nurses how many nurses do you intend to recruit within this period that you've opened the portal?
We are expecting 7,000. Already we've taken 6,000 out about 1 month ago, and this one we are expecting about 7,000.
So you've recruited or you've employed 6,000 nurses in the last 1 month, and you're expecting another 7. You're going to recruit another 7,000 in the next months ahead of us.
Within this month, they have already opened the portal for them.
I see.
And normally when
this is for 2019. Those who graduated in 2019.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, you said that...
So we have a crop of nurses, our professional nurses, who are not yet recruited. They are in the house. What we are pleading is that the clearance is given, and then once clearance is given, then we will be able to recruit 2020, 2021 nurses that are at home now. So you can't say that we who have these nurses that we are yet to recruit them, we the same people are on red alert. That is where we have the problem.
Okay, so
and this is what we are saying, that the Honorable Minister in yesterday's dailies with WHO, he registered our displeasure that you can't say this thing about Ghana.
Okay, so the fundamental issue that underlined this red alert was the patient to nurse or patient to healthcare professional ratio.
Yes.
They say that it is unacceptable. We haven't actually met the WHO standard of the patient to health ratio.
Yes.
That is the current reflection of the situation that we have, correct?
Yeah.
Good.
That is the current reflection. That is the current report that they came out with.
No, but is it true? But is it not the reflection of the situation on the ground? Have we met the WHO patient ratio?
That is not the issue now. That is why I said that Ghana is engaging WHO again. The Ministry of Health is engaging WHO. We have agreed that they come back for a review, and within 1 month, 2 weeks, or within 6 weeks, and a report will come out, which will indicate that Ghana is far, far beyond the current status that they have put in us. And that is why we think that the report, we don't agree with it.
No, but I asked a specific question as to whether Ghana has met the WHO ratio of patient to healthcare professional, which is 1:3. That is 1 nurse to 3 patients. Have we met that requirement as we speak?
This is an answer that I would plead and do referral, because
you're going to do a referral.
Yes, the reason being that
you don't have an answer to it now.
Correctly, because we have other agencies, like I said earlier. We have the Comfort Teaching Hospital, we have Kolebu Teaching Hospital, we have a whole teaching hospital. All these hospitals that we are talking about are having a number of nurses that are working there. So they were not. Some of them were not part of this current status that was put up. And so until we are able to go with them, and I indicated that we are still recruiting some of them.
Okay.
And so when we put all this number together, we will be able to come out and tell Ghanaians that this is the current situation.
So you cannot also fault the UK, who, based on the available data, took a decision to put us on the red list, because even you, the Minister of Health, you are now compiling the data. How do you expect the UK to take a decision on data that you are yet to compile? They took a decision based on the data available that the patient to doctor or patient to nurse ratio is way, way below what the World Health Organization is asking us to do. And so, based on that, they say, you know what, keep your nurses, keep your doctors, so that they can meet the WHO ratio, so they can be there in this country. Then you, as a country, find money, pay them well, so that they can also be here to provide us, we the Ghanaian people, the healthcare. You are saying that, no, you are against the red list. You want an updated data so that our nurses can leave the country when they are needed in this country to also provide healthcare for us. So what's the health ministry?
That is not exactly what I've said. I didn't say that we are doing that for them to leave. Specifically, I said that we are not in that circle, and that the first thing is that Ghana will move beyond that level. The issue of nurses migration is a different issue altogether, and that is why you ask of what the ministry is doing, and I really indicated that, one, clearance is another issue which the ministry has taken a note of. We are in collaboration with the Nursing and Midwifery Council regarding the regulations and formulations. We cannot stop the nurses from illegally migrating out of the country. For the nurses, you rightly heard the one you interviewed, who is saying that for them, even if the UK government said they shouldn't come, they will go. This is what she just said. And so if individuals are prioritizing their interests, it will be difficult for us to manage those people from here. People run away without notice, and they are there before they request for somebody to credit. So the minister is currently not happy about the situation. That the ratio that we are put on now is not the true reflection. And it's not like we are now going to collate.
Okay, so Mr. Ba, maybe very quickly, if what the UK is saying about the nurse to patient ratio is not the true reflection, at least for the benefit of our listeners, what is the true reflection of the situation?
Yes, and that is why I am saying that we have a total number of nurses that Ministry of Health have recruited. These nurses that we have recruited are cut across.
Okay.
Currently, we are recruiting. And I indicated that about a month ago, we recruited.
That's fine. But then you don't have the current data
report,
now.
No. Okay. The report that British government is putting up is picked on WHO website. That is where they pick the information from. They did not pick those informations from the website of the Ministry of Health.
Yes, but it's fine. I think you have established that. You have established that. But what you are also saying is that the information on the Ministry of Health website is not the updated one. You are now going to put your data together, correct?
We are not going to put our data together. We have now come together with WHO to properly go into the data that they brought, and then we also submit ours. We collate it, and then jointly we put a statement together. Now that we have come in talks with them, it will not be fair for us to be ahead of time. And that is why I said, let me reserve that until the report comes out.
We'll see how the coming days
It's not like we don't have data. The ministry have enough data. And like I said, referring to the statement that is published in the Daily Graphic yesterday, the statement that the Honorable Minister made in Geneva indicated that he himself is saying that we are far above the alert.
Okay, I think that point well made. Point well made. Mr. Ba, I thank you so much for your time, and we'll see how the coming days will look like on this. Isaac Ofeba speaks for the Ministry of Health of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you. Let's hear.
Well, I was taken aback. I'm a bit confused with that final interview you had because I know this whole red alert thing. It's actually not working. I spoke to a nurse friend who is actually working her way out of the country.
So they'll find their way.
Anyway, let me stick to my numbers, Alfred.
Absolutely, is it not? I mean, there's some excitement about the inflation rate dropping, to about what, 45%?
Yeah, but I don't know where the excitement is coming from.
What is the consequential effect of this?
Because prices, in terms of reduction, it's not really evident. It's the pace that has slowed down. That is why we are having 45%. So if you're buying kinky for 1 CD last year, it's about 90 pesos for this year. That's basically
so
what
that is to
means.
You, Nanaya, Kwame, and Emmanuel, who have been also sending messages on Facebook about usually praising government for the reduction in the inflation. So yes, so the impact you say is not that
the rate has slowed. It's the pace of increase that has really slowed. That is why we're seeing the figures we're seeing. But we'll hear from the government statistician. The only good thing is that I didn't see petrol and diesel, which has not reflected. It's the first time in months it's not reflected for a very long while. And some people are attributing to the gold for oil program that is ongoing. That is also another conversation for another time. But well, let's look at what is happening. Well, we were saying that inflation has dropped, and that's according to the latest figures from the Ghana Statistical Service, and the latest represents an almost 7.8 percentage points decrease from last month's inflation of 52.8%. This means that even though the general price levels of goods and services is high, the rate of increase is lower than last month's figure.
From a month-on-month basis, we recorded a deflation of 1.2% between February 2023 and March 2023. The last time we saw a deflation on a month-on-month basis was in September 2020, following a 1.1 in August 2020. So in the past period, this is the first time we are seeing a deflation on a month-on-month basis of 1.2%.
The 45% recorded for March was influenced by some deflation recorded by Food and Non-Alcoholic Beverages Group. According to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim, the fall shows the ongoing downward trend of inflation. Only few subgroups recorded inflation during the period.
So although nationally we saw a deflation of 1.3%, there were some specific items, including washing soap, that saw inflation of 9.3%. We also saw goat meat seeing an upward change of 1.9%. Ice cream and granules also seeing upward changes on a month-on-month basis. For the first time in several months, we did not see petrol and diesel appearing in the list of the top 20 items that have seen price changes. Indeed, the last time we saw diesel not appearing in the top 20 items was in September last year, and we saw petrol coming in somewhere in October. So far, about
the Western North region recorded the highest rate of inflation, whilst the Volta region was the least. And so from Greater Accra, let's head to Washington, D.C., where the International Monetary Fund forecasts Ghana's budget deficit to be lower in 2023 than it anticipated initially. The IMF expects the country's fiscal deficit target to 7.3% from 8.6% projected last year. The latest target is much lower than the government's shortfall target of 9.9% as contained in the 2023 budget. The IMF announced the projections in the April 2023 edition of its Fiscal Monitor, which provides an overview of global public finance developments. And right now we will cross over to Washington, D.C. and speak to Sani Abdulrahman, my colleague, who is on the ground giving us all the updates from the spring meeting. Sani, what else can you report?
Well, as indicated, the IMF has launched the fiscal report, which gives an impression of fiscal happenings around the world. And we have seen the IMF lowering the fiscal target for Ghana. I'm referring to the deficit. And that's quite a good news after a series of bad news that we have seen in the last couple of months. The government's target to register a fiscal deficit target of 9.9% for this year. The IMF is now saying we'll do much lower than that, and that's quite some good news. Also, we are seeing another session where the stakeholders here are looking at the debt situation, the spending in developing nations. We've heard some of the experts here calling on governments such as Ghana's government, the Nigerian government, among other developing nations where debt is becoming a major hurdle to look at their expenditure and not just relying on revenue to plug the deficit. And this is not the first time we've had experts calling on the government, for example, the government of Ghana, to look at the expenditure. Back home, we've had a lot of experts telling the government if it intends to achieve or is committed to fiscal consolidation, it needs to look at its expenditure and not just its revenue lines. And this is also coming up on the sidelines of the meetings here in Washington. Today on Ghana's itinerary, we seem not to have a lot. There was a scheduled press conference to be addressed by the finance minister, and that was hinged on the outcome of the meeting they've been having with external creditors. I'm getting the impression that the results they were expecting from the meetings last night did not go well or did not meet their expectation. And that may have informed the decision to push the presser a little forward. So if you ask me, largely that's what has been happening here in Washington.
Right, Sani. So what are the members of the Ghanaian delegation also saying about the calls for the country to lower its budget deficit? That call that came in.
The call largely has come from the IMF and the experts they lined up for a panel conversation who are not calling for the deficit to be lowered, but essentially calling for actions that will accelerate the process to get the budget deficits lowered. And the representative led by the finance minister, we have him here, we have the Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance, that is Amin Anta, and the rest of the delegation, including the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the two deputies are here as well, and a lot of the officials from the government. They have not responded yet, but I don't think this is a new call, because we've heard it many times from home. Maybe the difference this time would be it is coming from the IMF.
Well, thank you for the updates, Sani. Sani Abdulrahman is in Washington, D.C. We'll be getting more on the spring meetings. But just before we go, banknote maker De La Rue has said that demand for banknotes around the world is at its lowest level in 20 years. And the company, which designs a third of banknotes globally, said demand for cash had fallen since the pandemic, when central banks stopped up on currency. It said the downturn would hit a full-year profits, which are set to fall short of expectations. So, well, that's it. Alfred, looks like the banknotes. Why you don't take more money?
Oh, man. I do virtual money.
Oh, okay. Momo. Well, for more business news, log on to TVNews.com. Oreku is up next with
Oreku Ampofu.
Yeah. I'm here. Today is the day of reckoning for Chelsea. In about an hour's time, the Blues.
You know the dead goat syndrome. That's what the Chelsea fans have developed now.
Yeah, so let me just quickly go through the lineups. Chelsea are in a 3-5-2. There's Kepa, Fofana, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and then there's Reece James, Kante, Kovacic, Enzo Fernandez, Chilwell, Sterling, and Joao Felix up front. And then for Real Madrid's lineup, there's Thibaut Courtois in goal, Caballero, Militao, Alaba, Camavinga, and then the midfield we have Valverde, Cruz, Modric. Up front is Rodrigo, Benzema, Vinicius. The two sides face off at the Bernabeu in the first leg of the quarter-final. Let's hear from Alaba, who says that despite Chelsea's poor form, they still want to remain focused as they get ready for the game.
We don't underestimate Chelsea. We know that they still have a great squad, a great team, and we have to be focused. We have to focus on ourselves, try to be very concentrated and press from the first minute on, and try to be successful tomorrow. They still have good players, a great squad, like I said, and a strong team, and changes they have done maybe in the last week can do some things too, and this is what we know, and so we have to stay very focused.
Well, from one end, let's move to the other and hear from Frank Lampard, who's Chelsea boss.
So for our players, some young players that we've got, we know in the squad, but also we have some players that have achieved a lot. Champions League winners, World Cup winners, and these things. So I don't think it's something completely new to them. But of course, this is a stadium that, and the quarterfinals, an occasion, and we have to play the occasion because levels go up at this point in the competition. But we have to come in with a belief that we can perform under that pressure.
And so it's Real Madrid versus Chelsea starting 7 p.m. tonight. Also remember that there's GPR Express much later, 9:30 on TV3, where Ignatius Osei-Fosu will be speaking exclusively to us. He says that he's the best young experienced coach or something of that sort, so you do want to tune in, but up next is entertainment here on Hot Edition with Akofa.
Thank you very much, Uriku. Now coming up on entertainment tonight, Ghanaian music duo Dope Nation's 2022 hit song Boza was nominated for the VGMA Best Afro Pop Song category, but the group say their song was put in the wrong category. They describe the song as house music fused with Afro beats and Amapiano. Dope Nation wants the VGMA board to do proper research before assigning songs to categories.
So I was just checking the nominations for VGMA. You guys are in Best Afro Pop Song of the Year for Boza. Would you describe Boza as an Afro Pop song?
No, it's not Afro Pop. Like I said, it's house music fused with Afro beat and then Amapiano. So when you give me a genre, I think you need to come and research into my music.
So that's what I'm saying. We need like producers, who are young producers, who are experts, to go out into the studios.
To break down the genre. Why haven't you said anything about this? Because J-Bad, I mean, people raise objections and then he was taken out of that category.
When you come out and you say, you either sound arrogant,
you might be taking
different.
But you need to speak up.
Yes, but we need to understand it first. Take, for example, our music, we need to understand our music. The music is supposed to be spearheaded by producers. When it is spearheaded by a producer, the sound is clear. But we have people who are not even knowledgeable about music that are spearheading our music here. Please take South Africa for an example. Let's not talk about the Nigerians. Let's talk about South Africa. They are doing amazing things.
Yeah. Well, staying a while longer on the VGMA conversation, Robert Clark, head of communications at Charterhouse, reacting to the duo's comments, had this to say.
Afropop is actually a fusion of music genres situated within the within Afro music. So when they say it's made up of house and there's elements of Afro beats and there's Amapiano in there, yes, those are the things. That kind of fusion is what is also referred to as Afropop under the skin. So it's just a matter of them understanding how we describe certain things or our operational definitions for the various categories. I think that would have settled matters.
And that head of communications at Charterhouse, Robert Clark there. Celebrated American worship leader and singer Ron Kinoli has got plans to make Ghana his permanent home. The multiple award-winning worship leader, who has been in Ghana for the past weeks, told 3 Entertainment that he's working to settle in Ghana and, more importantly, become a citizen.
My purpose for being here is to become a resident of Ghana and eventually become a citizen of Ghana. I have been, the last week, I have been filling out forms and documents to gain residency and eventually become your brother, a citizen of Ghana. I believe that Ghana is one of the most welcoming nations in terms of people and social situations. It is the most welcoming towards
And that celebrated American worship leader Ron Kinoli there, trying to get his citizenship so he can be known as a Ghanaian. That's all the entertainment news on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. Thanks for your time. My name is Zakofa, and I'm back later at 8 p.m. with Wind Down. Alfred, over
awesome.
to you.
Wind Down at 8 o'clock.
Absolutely.
We'll wine with you. Appreciate it. And before we go, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, of the Trade Union Congress, has served notice to withdraw its services over the delay in the payment of professional and skills development allowance for its members. A statement signed by the General Secretary of TEU, Mark Dentra Crunchy, said although processes leading to the payment of the allowance have been concluded, the employer and the government side are deliberately frustrating the union's effort in getting what is legitimately due its members. It's the leadership of the union can no more hold the pressure mounting on them from members. It noted that if no pragmatic steps are put in place towards payment of the allowances, members will withdraw their services by April 15. Labour correspondent Daniel Poko has more.
In the year 2020, TEU demanded the payment of professional and skills development allowance. The Education Ministry, after further engagement with TEU, agreed that 600 cedis to be paid to each member annually. The amount was to be paid at the end of November every year. According to the union, government has reneged on its promise. For the union, what is most disturbing is the comments by President Akufo-Addo in his State of the Nation address in 2021 that the amount had been paid.
The President says we have paid. So one is expecting that when we go into the records, it will show that indeed payment has been made. Right. But no payment has been made. And following up with the agencies concerned, GES, Fair Wages, and the like, it appears that the payment has not been made.
He asked government to make the payment together with the arrears.
Ideally,
well, you can find more on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. That's it for Hot Edition. Stay with us. The drive continues with Giovanni, AJ, and DJ Faculty. I am Alfred Ocansey. Join me at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Have a good evening.